So as and when he joins, then he will also make his inputs. So I don't know whether has anyone heard of CAP 84? CAP 84, you haven't. So okay, so the town and country plan at the time was set up by the act, that's CAP 84 in 1945. Just a brief history. And CAP 84 was there before the pre-independence, and we use that act till now, till, should I say, 2016, when looking at all the, should I say, changes happening all over the world and also in Ghana, there was a need for us to relook at that act because it had elapsed and a lot of things has also happened. And so it wasn't relevant. The CAP was no longer relevant for us to use. So it was mandatory that we come out with a new act, which is the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act. And actually, it's based on this act that the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority was also established. So that was in 2016 when the act was enacted, and it's called the Act 925 of 2016. Before I continue, anytime you have any question, you can just ask me. You shouldn't wait till I finish the lecture. You can just interject and then you let me know. And then you ask your question. And when you ask your question, I also want to know you. So I'll be grateful if you mention your name so that we are friends. It's not anything. We are just friends. So we'll just, as I can see my colleague there, I'm so happy to see him. It's been over, should I say 12 years or 13 years? So, yes. Mr. Mohammed, please, can you hear us?
Yes, I can
okay.
Hear you very well.
All right.
So let me know when to also interject, except that I would want to have a word with colleagues before you get airborne. Nada, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. I would want to have a word with our colleagues before you launch yourself into full action. Kindly let me know when you are ready.
We are ready. We are listening.
Colleagues, good morning. And it's a pleasure to have all of you to be part of this interaction. I call it interaction because we do not want to lecture. Lecturing means talking and you listening. Let me say that we want to, on the basis of your questions, your insights, your contributions, enhance the presentation before we finally give it to you. So this is a practical session, and anything we tell you here is applicable on the ground. It's not a matter of trial and error, because, for example, if you get any legal issue wrong and anybody wants to pursue you in court, they can do that successfully if they understand the law. And so we want to try hard to see how you also understand the fundamentals. Certainly a law of 200 sections, including the interpretation section, cannot be shared or taught in a matter of 3 hours. And so what we have done is to focus on the key issues that confront practitioners on day-to-day basis. Once again, my name is Mohammed Al-Hassan Damba, the immediate past president of the Ghana Institute of Planning. I am very, very sorry to not have joined you this morning, and my colleague, very able Nada, is going to do that. I would be in class 2, and where there's the need to make a contribution, I will When we observe that you have questions or contributions that relate to sections that we have not brought on board, we would still discuss them. And as I said, after the session, we would enhance the presentation. So what she has are just highlights to enable the conversation. So on this note, I would want to welcome all of you once again to the Architecture House. And I am glad to be part of this session. And maybe I would tell your president to come to GIP and learn one or two things. We seem a bit advanced in some respects as far as trainings and the examination structures are concerned. That's just by the way, it's on the light side. So thank you. Not over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So for this presentation, we'll look at the application of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Acts. And then we'll also look at the institutions created by the Acts. And then we'll discuss further the applications for change of use or request for rezoning, as most of you will be interested in. And then we'll look at applications for subdivision or consolidation. We'll have discussions on unauthorized development. And then we'll further have discussions on the conduct of public officials and their representatives, and then public consultation and participation. So as I initially stated, the Act 925 came to replace the old Act, which is the Act, the Cap 84. And this new Act, which was enacted in 2016, is supposed to revise and consolidate the laws on land use and spatial planning. And it's also supposed to provide sustainable development of land and human settlements through a decentralized planning system. Currently, we know that the whole world, we are all veering towards sustainable development. So that's also one of the key reasons why this act was enacted. And we also want to ensure the judicious use of land to improve the quality of life. So in this act, now we have spaces being maximized to its optimum use. And then the act also talks about promotion of health and safety in respect of human settlements. And the act tries to regulate the national, regional, district, and local spatial planning, and generally provide spatial aspects of socioeconomic development for related matters. So when we ask ourselves, what are some of the applications of this act? The act applies to public institutions. And when we say public institutions, we are looking at the ministries, the agencies and departments, even the MMDAs. We are looking at the private institutions. The private institutions, it could even be the financial banking institutions and all that. So because all of them are built in space. So that's that. And then a person who is responsible for, should I say, this act, we have the development of lands. Whoever wants to develop land, you should know what the act says. And then when we look at the development and area, a person who is responsible for the development of an area like you guys, you should have an idea of what the act says. And then a person who is responsible for national spatial planning matters. So also someone who is into urban design and all that, you should have an idea of what this act talks about. And then planning matters related to a region, district, part of a district or a defined area. So some of you may be also working in a municipal assembly, working in should I say, the districts will be working in the region at the national level. You should have an idea, because this is related to the built environment. So you should have an idea of what the act says. And also, if you a person who will be preparing a special development framework or structure plan or local plan, you should know what the act also talks about. And then when it comes to formulating zoning regulations, planning standards, and processing of land use permits, all this a person should have an idea, or you should have an idea of what the act says. Then the act also applies to people for subdivision of land for the purposes of development. So definitely with your profession, you may be doing subdivisions. So it's important that you know all this. And then when it comes to creation and delineation of districts, special towns, and special development or special planning laws, or any matter relating to spatial planning or development control. Definitely, some of you may find yourself in political positions, and there may be the need for, when it comes to creation of districts. Now you know that it's something that is often done when there's a new government. So when you find yourself in power and you advise accordingly. So you should know this act so that you'll be able to advise properly. And the development of land by private or public institutions, including physical development by entities which are exempted from planning permit compliance procedures. So here we are looking at development of land. So as a consultant, as an architect, you'll be coming out, you'll be developing projects, you'll be coming out with projects and all that, or you'll be also coming out with development that are supposed to have exemptions, public, should I say public development or public projects. And with these things, there are exemptions. There are some of these public projects that has exemptions. So as an architect, you should have an idea of what the Act talks about when it comes to exemptions of public buildings. And then matters relating to land use, including enforcement, appeals, complaints, and administrative processes as connected to land use within the country. So I believe that what this act tells us is that all these things, you should have an idea as an architect, because it's not only planners. So far as you're a developer and you want to do some kind of development, maybe you also want to be in the public sector, making sure that people do the right thing, you all have to have an idea of what the act says. Please, any question? You have to ask, so it's a 3-hour session. So, yes, your name, please. Pardon? Daniel. Okay. Oh, okay. So the exemptions, some of them, for instance, public institutions like the security service. So when the security services, they are exempted. When they are, for instance, the military, when they are coming out with permits or their development, there are some exemptions with that. When it comes to, should I say, the ambassadorial, those from the foreign countries, pardon? The embassies, yes, they are also exempted. So they are quite, it's spelled out in the act. Then the institutions that are exempted from some form of permitting, yes. So those institutions are in the act. That's how come it's important that you should have an idea of what the act says. And so when you look at it, when you go into the act, you see it, the organizations that are exempted from some of the planning laws. Yes.
Nada, can I add a bit here?
Yes, please, you can.
Oh, okay. Colleague, thank you for the question. Yes. You may be aware that in the past, a whole lot of institutions were on the exemption list under LI 1630, the old building regulation. Now, all of them have been taken off, except the, like Nada said, security installations, and then the diplomatic missions. Except that these institutions are supposed to still submit their site plans and block plans for filing, because even though they are exempted, it is not the case that we do not have any record at all of their development. So that is what the law says. Let me add that we are emphasizing security installation. So if you go to Burma Camp, for example, where their primary school is, their school is not exempt. So take note. But where they keep their magazines, the armory, their tanks, we are not interested in that. The commanding officer's house, we are not interested because these are of security nature. But anything of non-security nature is not exempt. So that is why I'm citing the example of, let's say, they are building a primary school or a bank or a filling station. I mean, if you're driving by Burma Camp towards around Seoul Clinic towards Labadi Panwan Junction, those of you who know Accra, you see filling stations developing on the Burma Camp lands on your left. These are not exempt. They cannot hide behind the exemption regime covering security installations and say they will not count for it. So take note that institutions like universities, mining undertakings and all these which used to be exempt are no more exempt. In fact, not even the ministry, because I have witnessed the Ministry of Local Government, which is in charge of all district assemblies, submit itself to permitting under my watch at LADMA, Lada Protocol Municipal Assembly. So it tells you how the reforms in this law look like. So that's what it is. Nada, thank you for allowing me.
Okay, any other question? Yes. No, the Bank of Ghana is not part. So they submit their drawings and everything. So there's something called should I say special? So they do submit it to the assembly, and then they have a meeting. So they may have a special meeting, but with the same committee members who will look at the drawings.
AIP.
AIC, yes. AIP, yeah. Okay. So we'll look at the institutional structure for spatial planning in Ghana at the national level. And the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority is the highest institution when it comes to land use and spatial planning in Ghana. And it was enacted from the Act. It was established from the Act. That's the Act 925. And we are under the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. And we receive policy direction from the Ministry of Local Government. And we also have a board. So our board is established by it's in the Act, the membership is in the Act. However, the chairman of the board is appointed by the president, and we have representatives from all the institutions that have relevance when it comes to land use and spatial planning. We do have even a member of the Ghana Institute of Architects as a member of the board. We have a member from the Ghana Institute of Engineering, and then we have representatives from the various ministries, like the Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Works and Housing, the Agric Ministry. So it's quite a number of members, and even the EPA and others. And the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, our role is that we are supposed to come out with policy, standards, issue directives, regulatory notices, guidelines, and manuals, and also monitor activities related to land use and spatial planning, both from the national level to the districts. So that's what we do. Our work actually directly, we end at the regional level. So we have an office at the regional level. We no longer operate directly at the district. Initially, when we were town and country planning department, we had offices at the district, but currently we just have the regional office and then the head office, and those at the region do the coordination at the district. So in events that there's an issue at the district, when the planning authority at the district are not able to solve it, it's reported to the region, and then that's where we assist. And also we come up with the directives. The directives, we send it to the district to implement and also to enforce some of the works that are going on. And then when it comes to the monitoring too, we ensure that we monitor activities at the district, because it's important that yes, they are planning authorities, but they are not autonomous. We have to ensure that the right thing is done at the district level. For our authority, we are headed by the Chief Executive Officer, who is in charge of the day-to-day administration of the authority, and he's also appointed by the President. So, as I initially stated in the Act, and also for our organization, we provide, our objective is to provide sustainable development of land and human settlement through a decentralized planning system. The decentralized is emphasized because at the time, decentralization was not really, should I say, it was done in certain ways, but now the local government, the new Local Government Act actually champions decentralization. Then that's Act 936. It champions decentralization. So that's how come at the district level now they are planning authorities. And so as planning authorities, they have all the agencies also at the district. So now even just to digress a bit, urban roads is also at the district. And then we have some agencies like the Agric Ministry also at the district. So now they are Agric departments at the district. So it's just to champion the decentralization system. And then our objective also is to ensure the judicious use of land. As I emphasize, it's important that we maximize space. We want to, should I say, ensure that currently we have this urban sprawl. So how do we minimize this urban sprawl? By maximizing, that's the only way we can do it. There are different, should I say, various ways we can do it, but it's important that we maximize space through ensuring that the land is used. Yes. So at the district level, they are called the Physical Planning Department. So the Physical Planning Department has the Parks and Gardens, and then the planners. So the Physical Planning Department is made up of units. We have the planning unit and then the Parks and Garden. But however, because the Parks and Garden is not really active, so it's still the planning, the Physical Planning unit. That's currently the whole Physical Planning Department. But in some areas, they do have the Parks and Garden unit as part of the Physical Planning Department. Yes, madam. Hey, you are not mentioning your names, so I want to know your names. I want to leave this place knowing that I have made some friends.
Please, my name is Joanna.
Joanna.
Yes.
Okay.
So to be clear, the fiscal planners at the district level, they are not under the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority's jurisdiction.
Yes, so they are under the local government service. Yes. However, whatever work that they do, they report their work to the planning authority and then also to the region. So because definitely you cannot, they need to be supervised. Yes, so it's important, and that's how come we have our regional officers there. And also, one thing that I have to say, that at the regional office, there's something called the Regional Spatial Planning Committee. And the Regional Spatial Planning Committee oftentimes receive complaints. So, for instance, when you have an issue on your permit and it's not really solved at the district level, you can send a complaint to the Regional Spatial Planning Committee, and that's place they address those issues. Aside that, they also oversee the planning works at the district. So all the planning work that happens in all the districts in a particular region, and the Regional Spatial Planning Committee have an oversight on that.
Hey, you know.
Yes. Gideon, so that I can call you. No, I know Daniel, Joanne, and then Gideon.
Yeah. So, Lands Commission,
Yes.
what do they for?
So Lands Commission, they are into regulating, so they are into title. So Lands Commission is made up of the public vested division. We have the survey and mapping. We have the land valuation, and then we have I've forgotten the land title. And so they've together formed the Lands Commission, and they are in charge of regulating land. So for them, regulating land means you register your land. They register where you want to register your land. That's where you go. You get it?
So they are different entity from the.
So
land
yes, they are under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. So Lands Commission actually looks at the registration of land and state lands. So when it comes to state lands, they are in charge of all the state lands in the country. And then when it comes to other forms of, that's the stool lands, family lands, when you want to register them, they will help you register those lands. You get it? And then the survey and mapping division within the Lands Commission helps with the surveying of lands. Yeah. So that's the difference. The Land Use Authority looks at the use of the land. What are we using the land for? And how do we ensure that the land is maximized, the use of the land is maximized to its optimum use? Whilst Lands Commission looks at the regulation, regularizing or ownership of the land. Yeah. Yes, sir.
My name is Kenneth. Please, I want to find out what role does LUSPA play in the, let's say, in the sale of land. For instance, let's say someone wants to buy a plot of land, a quarter plot of land. Like we are talking about land use right now. What can you use like a quarter plot for? And if I want to use like a quarter plot of land, like what are the regulations or yes, from LUSPA?
Okay. So as I indicated, we are based in the national and regional level. So as an individual, if you want to buy a quarter piece of land, first of all, you have to think of the ownership. So the ownership is where Lands Commission comes in. You make sure that the land is owned by the rightful owner. So you go and do your search and make sure that the person who is selling that land, that piece of land to you, is a rightful owner. Then secondly, you go to the assembly where that particular land is. So if, for instance, the land is located somewhere, okay, around this area is it belongs to Korle Klottey Municipal. So you just go and do it. You take the site plan, you go to Korle Klottey Municipal, go to the physical planning department, and find out what the use of that area. Most importantly, this area is range, so you ask of the use of that particular, maybe probably that the quarter plot of land that you are thinking of is part of an open space, and someone is just selling that quarter plot to you. So it's important that you know the use of that particular by providing your site plan, and that will give you the information that you need. Then you'll be able to take a decision from there, whether you go ahead and develop, or if, for instance, it's an open space, whether you have to request for change of use and all that.
Okay, so why is it even allowed? Looking at all the regulations for the land use. Let's say, for instance, the margins or areas you have to leave around the developing a land. Why is it even allowed to sell a quarter plot of land?
We have standards. I was just giving you examples. We have standards. So in planning, we have the minimum standard of land that you can use. And with the minimum standard, that's how come I'm asking you to go to the assembly. When you go to the assembly, when you present your site plan to them, they will ask you, they will find out whether that piece of land is suitable for development. You get it? So I was just saying it because of, as in, it's a question. So, but definitely when you go to an assembly and you present whatever site plan that you have, you will be advised accordingly at the fiscal planning department. Please, any question? Okay. Yes. Planning department, yes. Yes. So at the fiscal planning department, you, for instance, if you want, I think we'll talk about all these, it's somewhere in the PowerPoint, but if you want us to look at it, when you submit an application, depending on the type of use of that application, you will be asked to get some, should I say, requests. So if it's, for instance, for a commercial purpose and it needs an EPA permit, you'll be given, you'll be asked to go for that. If it needs fire permits, you'll be told about that. If it needs a geological report, depending on the structure of the project you are doing, you'll be informed accordingly. So it's at the fiscal planning department, which is the secretariat. It's actually the secretariat for the plan of all planning in the district. So that's where they give you all the information that you need, and it's not at the works department. Okay. Please, any question? Okay. Okay. So I think I mentioned this, that the board consists of a representative from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Ministry of Roads and Highways, and we have the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and we have the Chief Executive himself, Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, the Administrator of Stool Lands, the Director General of the NDPC, and we have a representative of the Traditional Authority nominated by the National House of Chiefs, one person nominated by the Ghana Institute of Planners, and 3 persons who are relevant from the built environment, and that includes the Ghana Institute of Architects, Ghana Institution of Engineering, and then the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. So these are the membership of the board of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority. Okay. So at the regional level, I indicated that we have a, should I say, a regional spatial planning committee. However, we have regional offices also established nationwide. So we have like 16. We have 16 regions now. So we have 16 regional offices. And they all take instructions from the head office and provide feedback from the subnational level to the authority. And also at the RSPC, they provide oversight responsibility of all the district spatial planning committees as I initially communicated. And they also serve as a secretariat for the RSPC. That's the regional office of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority. They serve as a secretariat to the RSPC. So it's interesting. The fiscal planning department at the district is the secretariat at the district level. And then the regional LUSPA is a secretariat at the regional level. And then, funny enough, I think at the head office, we are also the secretariat for the board. Let's take it that way. Yeah. So the membership of the Regional Spatial Planning Committee, the regional minister is the chairperson. And then we have the regional head of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority acting as the secretary. And then we have the head of the Regional Economic Planning Units, that's the REPO at the RCC. He's also a member. The regional head of the Ghana National Fire Service, he's a member. The regional head of the Lands Commission in the region, a regional head of EPA, the regional head of the Ghana Highway Authority, the regional representative of the Regional House of Chiefs. We have the regional head of the Disaster Prevention Department in the region. We have the regional head of the Ministry of Agric, the regional head of the Forestry Commission, the regional head of the Water Resource Commission, and then the regional coordinating director. And also a representative of the from the utility services, so the ECG, Ghana Water, they're all representatives there, and that shows how powerful these people are. So anything at the district that is not going well, and you send a complaint to the region, and being chaired by the regional minister, you know that they will handle the case well for you. Oh, why? Oh, tell me why you're laughing. No, it shows the seriousness. If there's a committee that is being chaired by the regional minister, it shows the seriousness of that committee. So that's it. If you have any question, you can tell me, or any experience, you can tell me. I'll do my best to maybe contribute. For this one, I cannot answer, but I'll contribute. And then the functions of the Regional Spatial Planning Committee. So, especially every region is supposed to come out with a regional spatial development framework. And the spatial development framework, it's a spatial plan. It looks at the broad land uses of a region. For this, in this instance, for a region, and it's for a period, and it comes out with a vision for the region, a vision for the region, and then the proposals are made for that vision, and it's depicted spatially for that particular region, and for a period of 20 years. So that is it. I think subsequently I'll be talking about it, but that's how the spatial development framework is. Yes. So when it comes to family lands, as I said, the Lands Commission is the one that is in charge of registering. So when you own a family, like there's a family that wants to register their land, they go to the Lands Commission, and then the Lands Commission registers it. However, if there's any issue, but one thing is, when it comes to that is land use, the RSPC is for land use. But when it comes to the regional level, the Lands Commission also have their body, so that in case you have any complaints or anything that has to be addressed, you send it. The Lands Commission is there's a secretariat. So if there's any issue in terms of family land, you send it to the Lands Commission, and then they also handle it at their level. So they have a regional committee that is headed by a regional chairperson of the Lands Commission, and that person is politically appointed also, but not the regional minister. Yes. So when you're preparing a spatial development framework, that's how come, first of all, that's how come we have a representative of the traditional authority as a member. When a plan is being prepared, you have to inform all those responsible or who have a stake in this plan. So at the regional level like this, you can even see that we have representatives of all the relevant public agencies as part of the body. And the regional land use and spatial planning authority acts as the secretariat. So they lead the preparation. And when you prepare such a plan, you have to involve all these school lands, family lands, because definitely they are the ones going to implement these plans. So if you don't involve them, how would you get? But sometimes you can do a plan, and then at the end of the day, maybe the family will also decide to change their mind that, oh, we don't want to do it this way. However, whenever they change their mind, they fail to come back so that this is rectified, or the correction is made. But oftentimes they are involved. Stakeholders are very important. Public, even at the district level, when we talk about the districts, we will also look at other, should I say, stakeholders, not only the traditional authorities or the family heads, but also people like the markets, women, and all those, the youth groups and all that. But at the regional level, because it's looking at the broad spectrum, we just look at the agencies. However, we make sure that the traditional authorities are part of the planning process.
Okay, so in a situation where they decide not to cooperate, what mechanisms do you guys have to maybe implement? Do you have any mechanisms to implement against their will, or
no.
you just let it go?
So one attribute of a planner, you should know how to lobby. Yes. Yes, you should, because they are the ones going to implement it. So if you're not able to convince the person, then you cannot have a fruitful plan. You cannot implement the plan. So that's how come sometimes some people may have a plan that, okay, you want to do this. The preparation maybe you do it in a month or maybe 6 months, but when the a relevant stakeholder is not buying in to whatever you have to convince that person. You should be able to convince the person. If you are not able to, then you can't do anything about it. You just don't. You can't sideline and then go and do whatever that you want to do. No.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. So when I talked about the national the membership, so you see, there's a difference. So at the traditional authorities, let me say, who is from the central region here? Okay, most of the lands in the central region are family lands. However, they do have chiefs. So they have they have the chiefs who are overlords. So the chiefs are overlords of the families. So at the end of the day, though, for instance, a land belongs to the family, the chief of that community is the overlord of that land. So you get it. So that's how it is. So they do have they can determine whatever that they want to, but they still have, there's a word that is used. They have, should I say, the chiefs have authority over those families. You get it. So that's how come we rely on the chiefs. Yes. Yes, my dear.
Expect them to implement. What happens? An example is, let's say, okay, let me ask this question first. Do you cater for human settlement, resettlement? You do. So an instance where there's, let's say, a construction of road, and they'll have to resettle the people that are affected by this road construction, and you have spoken to the family or the school, and they are not willing to make any effort, what happens?
So resettlement also is participatory. You cannot just, when it comes to resettlement, you cannot just determine, like, there are sometimes it happens, but you when you don't go through the proper planning process, it ends up in chaos. What you have to do is that the people who are being resettled are the people, they are the first priority, because yes, the chiefs are there. Maybe they may even speak on your behalf to the people. But those people are the ones who are the most affected. So those people are the ones that you have to think about first when you are in terms of site selection, which areas will be suitable for them. For instance, when it affects their livelihood, because oftentimes it's their livelihood that is affected. So when it affects their livelihood, what are some of the, you have to discuss it with them, let them come out with, have an understanding, and also maybe come out with something that they think, they will be able to do. Sometimes, for instance, recently, some happened around I wasn't part of it, but I was told, the AMA, where we have on the high streets, where we have the fishmongers, where they sell the fish. So initially, they used to be somewhere down there, somewhere around Jamestown, where we have the new inland ports. There's an inland, who is aware of that? The inland ports that's being constructed around the high street area. Yes. So they used to be there. And these people are living on the other side of it. So, and that's the only work that they do. They are fishermen, they are fishmongers and all that. And you cannot find their reluctance to do any work apart from that. You get it? So you have to find another space where they can actually sell their fish. You get it? So though environmentally, some of us were not so happy about where it was located, because this is very close to the ocean, and that means that every waste will be entering the ocean. No, we were looking at that from that aspect, but another aspect, you look at the livelihoods of these people. What job would they do when this big inland port is being located now at their current place? And then what would they be doing? So it's important that you relocate them to a space that will be suitable for them, and then they can continue with their livelihood. However, measures are being taken to look at that environmental aspect of it.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Selenu.
Selenu.
Yeah.
Oh, nice name. Selenu. This, what does it mean?
God is with me.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, aside that, too, the Regional Special Planning Committee adjudicates on appeals, as I initially stated, on complaints resulting from decisions or actions or inactions of the District Special Planning Committee of the district. And where required, they prepare sub-regional or multi-district spatial development framework for 2 or more districts within a region. So when you prepare a regional spatial development framework, you can go ahead, maybe some districts may come together and say that maybe because of some significant developments within their district, they are coming together to prepare a spatial development framework for that particular region. So that's what is called the multi-district spatial development framework. Yes.
My name is Samuel. Please, how accessible are these frameworks to built environment professionals?
Oh, okay. You mean the manual to prepare such a framework?
Not the manual to prepare such a framework, but the framework itself for the development.
Oh, okay.
Because the built environment professionals should, as they are supposed to know what is entailed in the act, I think they also need to know what is entailed in the planning framework so that they can also advise their clients in that direction.
Yeah. So currently we have them on our website. Not all the regions have a spatial development framework, unfortunately. So we have a national spatial development framework. We have Greater Accra spatial development framework. We have that's for Western region. We have that for Ashanti region, and then for the northern regions. At the time when it was just 4 regions, they all came together and we prepared the Southern Ecological and Spatial Development Framework. It was under the SADA. Yeah, so Northern, so it is, they said Southern. Oh, wow. South, Northern Ecological Spatial Development Framework. Northern Savannah Ecological Spatial Development Framework. Northern Savannah. Yeah. Yes, it's on the website, land use and spatial planning website. The guidelines and manual is uploaded there, so you can have a look at it. But it's been reviewed, so yeah. Oh, but no, it can serve as a guide. No, we've been using it for 10 years now. So planning is dynamic. So you ask, and when we finalize the review, we'll update it. Yeah. But it's not going to be entirely different from what is there. Yeah. Is there any questions? All right. So at the district level, the district officers administer, as I said, they are the fiscal planning department, and then they provide spatial planning functions. And we have the district spatial planning committee, who also are the ones that approve all permits, and then also see to the date. The spatial planning committee approve permits. They also see to the approval of spatial plans at the district level. The district chief executive or municipal chief executive acts as the chairperson of that committee, and in his absence, we have the district coordinating director who acts in his stead. And as I indicated, the fiscal planning department shall perform spatial planning functions and provide feedback on data and information to the authority through the regional spatial planning committee. So the membership of the district spatial planning committee, we have the district chief executive acting as the chairperson, the fiscal planning, the head of the fiscal planning department acting as the secretary, and then the district coordinating director, also a member, but also acts as a chairperson in the absence of the district chief executive. We have the chairperson of the subcommittee on development planning and in the works of the district assembly. These two are chairpersons. They are oftentimes politicians, assembly politicians. So they are also members of the committee. Please, anything? Oh, if you have anything, you can ask. So, and then we have the district development planning officer as a member. We have the head of the works department as a member. We have the head of the roads unit of the district assembly as a member. A representative from the EP from the regional office as a member, or maybe if they have an area office, that person can be present. And then the head of the disaster prevention department in the district is also a member. And then a representative from the lands commission is also a member. And then we have a traditional, so within the district, you see there's a traditional council. So he's also represented there in the meeting. So any plan, anything that is going on, he informs the traditional council. And we also have persons nominated by the elected members of the assembly from the, and we have, in the case of a metropolitan assembly, 3 representatives. In the case of a municipal assembly, 2 representatives. And in the case of the districts, we have 1 representative. And it says that the district as a special planning committee may co-opt or invite any other qualified person as a consultant to attend a meeting of the district spatial planning committee for the purpose of the specific subject being considered by the district spatial planning committee. So you can be called upon, maybe with your expertise, as the committee probably are approving a complex development in a district, and then they need a consultant's advice. So they may call upon you when you become a member of the Ghana Institute of Architects to come and advise them on that development. And also a person may be co-opted to advise the district assembly, the district special planning committee, and shall not vote on any matter for decision by the district special planning committee. So the fact that you are invited to that committee, unfortunately, you not be, your vote doesn't count, but your advice is paramount. And you feel so important.
Question. Question, please.
Yes, sir.
At the regional level, I realize that as part of the committee members, there is a representative from the Forestry Commission.
Yes.
But at the national level, there is no representative from the Forestry Commission. Is there a reason for that?
Yes, so at the national level is the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. So the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources have a number of agencies. So and the person represented from the ministry is a chief director. So he has power over the Forestry Commission and other agencies. But however, at the regional level, the Forestry Commission is very important because we have forests within each region. So it's important that they are there to advise. You can see that as people in the built environment, we are always ready to develop. So it's important that they are there to protect the forest from us using it or exploiting. Please, any question? Okay. And then the functions of the District Spatial Planning Committee, they ensure that fiscal development is not carried out in the district unless that development is duly authorized in accordance with the Act. It also ensures that the preparation of the District Spatial Planning Framework is ensure that the preparation of the District Spatial Development Framework is in accordance with the Act. So the first one, for any fiscal development, so when you're coming out with a permit, we have within the District Spatial Planning Committee, we have a technical subcommittee, and that subcommittee actually goes through all the development applications. They review and vet the drawings that are submitted to the committee. And then the District Spatial Planning Committee approves the plans based on the recommendations from the Technical Spatial Planning Committee. In the same way, when there's a district spatial plan that is prepared, a spatial development framework that is prepared, the committee actually ensures that the planning process is adhered to, making sure that all the relevant stakeholders are considered. So, for instance, as you mentioned, there's a representative of the traditional authority. So, if he's not consulted or he's not aware of whatever that is going on, he prompts them that they have to come to the traditional council. You have to go to the traditional council. Sometimes you have to go to the plan. If it's a family land, you have to go to them, show them the plan. This is what we are doing. Hello? Let them make their inputs to the plan, because at the end of the day, they are. And then we have the. So I don't know whether it's, but let me say something. We have there are three. Thank you. There are three. The spatial planning system in Ghana, they are in three levels. We have the spatial development framework, which looks at the broad broad land uses and broad perspective, coming out with a vision for that broad land use or broad area. Then after that, based on that vision that you have, you come out with some elements, or should I say some scenarios, or should I say some policy direction. Yes, you come out with some policy direction spatially, and those policy direction, you pick one out of that and prepare a plan on it, and that's called the structure plan. So a special development will come out with a lot of proposals because it's looking at a broad land use, a broad area. I want to just okay, so let me cite an example. Within the Greater Accra metropolitan area, we just finished with a structure plan. Oh, that's not a good example. Okay. Who knows any districts in the central or eastern region? Who can give me a district in the central or eastern region? Gomoa East, yes. So Gomoa East comes out with a special development framework for the entire Gomoa East. And within Gomoa East, we have Kaswanyanyano there. We have Budumburam as part of Gomoa East district. We have some settlements somewhere around Akoti area. Please, who knows Akoti? It's after Ewutu Breku. Yes. So that's also another sector. Pardon? Eduafo, okay. So those areas are settlements, but I'm mentioning those particular areas because they have some significance. So within a special development framework, it may be projected that, okay, based on certain planning dynamics, for instance, when you look at Kaswanyanyano area, it's turning out to be more of a neighborhood, but there's also there's a tourism potential around Kaswanyanyano because of the beach and its closeness to the ocean. Then when you come to Budumburam has its own significance as well. And then when you go to Akoti 2 has its own significance because it connects to the northern part of the central region, and then also connects to Winneba. So it also has its own significance. So the structure plan, and because it's an urban area, I'm looking at that as well. A structure plan looks at urban areas. So because it's an urban area, you pick that one and then further develop that area as to maximize its potential and how that area can also tap into other settlements. So for instance, Kaswanyanyano, it's also, though it's serving as maybe a tourism potential, it could also serve as a dormitory. A dormitory. Dormitory means where people can live and then go to work. So in this case, it could serve as a dormitory for Kaswa. Currently, Kaswa is being within a Gamma structure plan is being identified as a sub-region, and the sub-region means that a sub-region means that it has commercial activities. It has a municipal hospital. It performs all the major functions like Accra, so that people will not be coming to Accra. So in the next 20 years, that's what we are planning. So if, for instance, if that's we have a structure plan for Nyanyano area, it's serving as a dormitory for Kaswa, which Kaswa is turning out to be a sub-region of the Gamma region. You get it? No, I know I'm confusing you a bit, but but it's something that I'm trying to explain. That in planning, it's in terms of hierarchy. So a structure plan looks at redevelopment, areas that you want to redevelop, and areas that maybe you've identified a potential. Maybe some industrialization is coming somewhere. You want to develop that area, so you prepare a structure plan for that area. Currently, we did one for somewhere in the western region. The western region, they want to do a petroleum hub inland. So, though we have a petroleum hub here in we have some petroleum facilities here in Accra. They want to develop a petroleum hub significantly for the whole Ghana, and it's been situated in the western region. So we had to come out with a plan for that purpose. So that one is a structure plan. You get it. Then afterwards, the local plan looks at the detailing, the plots, the one that we normally see. You put them into, so based on it, then you come out with the detail, putting each land use into plots. And then you detail the road networks as well. So that one is the local plan. I hope I've been able to explain that one very well. Gideon, yes. 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 So we are looking at that. Currently, you know what happened at Apiate? Yeah, explosion, yes. So we had to, my boss was the one spearheading that, that's Mr. Mohammed. So what they did was, Apiate is a rural settlement. So they did a conceptual plan. And based on that conceptual plan, and the conceptual plan determined where the land uses are before they came out with the local plan, and then also the fiscal structures that has to be built there. Yes. Pardon? Yes, so structure plan is just, it's for urban area, for an area that is developing at a fast rate, or for instance, when you identify an area for redevelopment, you prepare a structure plan, or where a major activity or major development is coming there, like maybe you want to do, as I said, a petroleum hub, you have to prepare a structure plan for that purpose. Yes, dear. So, you know, most plans, it's a government that initiates it. So at the district level, what we are saying is a district level. So the district level, at the committee, they will come up and say that we want to, based on, for instance, based on what is now happening, as I said, the Gamma Structure Plan has identified Kaswa as a sub-region. You get, so what they will do, they already have their plans now. So now what they'll do is that the regional minister, we went there, we had a meeting last week, and it's requested that the regional minister sends a directive to the chief executive. So the regional special planning committee, headed by the regional minister, sends a directive to the district special planning committee, headed by the chief executive, that with this focus now, we need to channel all our plans towards this vision. So what they have to do is now, all the plans that they have to revise it. You get it? They already have some plans there, but they need to revise it to suit what we intend to do. And this also helps with the 24-hour economy. Oh, see, I intentionally brought it. But it's planning. It's actually planning. It helps the economy as well. Please, any question? Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 So what we are doing is that it's something that's the reason. It's something that has been happening. Maybe you prepare a long-term plan, and then the government comes in, and then they have their own path that they want to tread. But the Ghana Institute of Planners is also finding a way of how we can work with the politicians, not only one party, but all politicians, so that as they prepare their manifesto, they are aware of some of the things that are already in the pipeline. As I said, they are preaching 24-hour economy, but we already have it. You get it? But they are using a different language in communicating it, but it's the same idea. You get it? So we need to, well, what's important that we need to collaborate. That's something that, as maybe when you become the president of Ghana Institute of Architects, probably you also be in that position to work with politicians so that they have that understanding that it's important that the built environment professionals works with them so that we yeah, but it's important. It's something that it's really, but one thing that I also have to say is that is how come most of these special committees are headed by politicians. So at the district is headed by the chief executive, who is appointed by the president. At the regional level, it's headed by the regional minister. So we don't do something that veers off political whatever. But it doesn't also mean that when there's a change in government, no, it doesn't happen that way. We try as much as possible to work together. So if there's something we have to change certain things, we do. We are not so strict. Yes. Special. No, I haven't come across that. But what we do is that, for instance, for a residential area, we indicate that, okay, we have the plots, and then sometimes we indicate that's how come we have in the Ghana Statistical Service, maybe probably they'll ask how many people live in this area and all that. So that helps when you are doing the planning process. So that you identify whether per square kilometer, how many people are living there, and whether that place is choked. You get it? So there are standards, but it's not. We don't restrict. You see, we cannot restrict. We go to NEMA. You cannot tell people that they should live. We don't really. But I'll take this question and then I'll maybe as you are reviewing. But it's something that we haven't really thought of, that maybe we have to restrict. But I don't know whether it's maybe you can answer. Do you think that it's important we restrict people? Maybe yes, Mr. Mohammed. Maybe you can come in with that.
Oh well, I want to find out if the session is being recorded so that we can.
Yes, it's being recorded.
That's fine. Thank you. No, please proceed.
Oh, okay. So what I'll say is that we, in our planning standards, we do have maybe a number of people per square kilometer, and then when you do the Ghana Statistical Service, when they come for the census, they find out from how many people are living here. It's just for planning purposes to know whether, in terms of public, there's no pressure on public infrastructure. But in terms of restrictions as to these people shouldn't be living here, that one I have no idea, but I will have to also check whether we restrict, there's restrictions. But in that sense, too, it will not help. I'm not, that's from my own perspective, because we live in a family setting, and we have people, especially in Accra here, where we have people living in areas that are in family settings. They lack certain amenities, yes, but you cannot go into their space and then tell them that relocate. You may even tell them to relocate, but you may give them nice areas, but they'll tell you no, they have a history here, you know. It's quite dicey, but I'll pick it up, and then maybe as we review, we'll see whether we can introduce that. But do you agree to what he's saying? I just want to get where we have restrictions in terms of space. Pardon? Yes, it's urban. Well, it deals with urban sport in a way, because when you're looking at urban sport, people are moving out from the core because it's expensive. However, when you make the core affordable, or you introduce easy means of transport, it reduces that. Or as we are introducing the sub regions, it's also minimizes the urban sport. But in his case, he is looking at restrictions to space, isn't it? Use of, yes.
Somebody.
That has like maybe a two or something, and he has like 4 people in their family, and they will put
that
up like
aspect.
they will put up like a mansion, like 2 plots of land. It's their land, them, but is there any like regulation in terms of how the land is used by the people?
Oh, yes, that one is there. As I said, we have the minimum use of land, the size of land that anyone can use. It's a standard there, and we are trying to look at it whether we should still reduce it. At this point, we are even thinking of reducing it. And yes, you all know of 70 by 100, yes. But when you go out of the country, in the developed country, you can see that people use small space to develop. Yes. So it's something that we are looking at. It hasn't, yes. So it's something that we are looking at. But you cited an example about as in 2 plots of land. And that's what we'll be talking about it. That's as subdivisions. So with the subdivision, there are step-by-step process of how to do a subdivision, and that helps you to share that 2 plots of land to the number of people. But it should be in accordance with what the planning standard says. You get it, yeah. But the other aspect, it's a good suggestion. I'll discuss it with my colleagues as well and see whether it's possible we can introduce it. I don't know. But since you're also in favor of it, probably we'll look at that idea. Yes.
I want to find out with these standards that you have as to the land size. Does it has anything to do with the height of project you're going to do there? So let's say you have a 70 by 100. Is there any restriction on the height? You're supposed to go on that piece of
Kind of development should be in a specific area. That's how or you are doing a design, you have to speak with the to find that you are out what is the height for that particular area, because they know and will be let you know for that particular area. Yes, sir.
In terms of these restrictions, if someone purchases a plot of land and the person has the capacity to build maybe a 2-story, and the minimum maybe in a particular area is 4
No. Yes, so that's what is happening currently. So some areas now, they've increased, we see it as a, what's the word, a high, for instance, this area, the Independence Avenue. So the Independence Avenue, currently, the height restriction is, I think, from 4 upwards, or 6 upwards, I've forgotten. But from 6 upwards. So if we have any development currently existing and it's below that, we don't ask them to demolish. However, anytime they are going to redevelop, they have to go by the new heights. Yes, sir.
Nada, let me just add to that quickly.
Yes.
Okay. Like Plan Another said, the matter of height density is under normal circumstances supposed to be determined by the planning authority, I mean the district in which you are building. And I want to add a bit on how we come by that, so that in applying, you are also minded of the conditions leading to the determination of a particular height. Now, your question was that if you build a structure to a height that is below the allowable height, not really. What it will mean is that you have opportunity to top it up moving on, which is an advantage to you, the developer. It is when you are exceeding that you are in trouble, I must say. Secondly, the height of a structure is, or the height zoning takes into consideration a number of factors. One, we're looking at the size of the land on which you are sitting. So, from the block plan, if you look at how you have set out the structure, so from the set out to the fence line, across to the other end of the right of way, will be the first height. So if you get me, so if you take from the wall up to the fence wall, then across the way, I don't know how to tell whether I would have done some checking. Then you add 20 feet. That is the ordinary allowable height. We can consider other factors and allow it to go high. Number 2, if you are building in an area that is considered security sensitive. So let's say you want to build around the Jubilee House, anywhere, let's say GDC area, Kaokudi area, and so on and so forth. There will be some concerns as to whether you would outshine the Jubilee House by way of the height of the structure. We don't want a situation where your structure is more noticeable than the house of the president. And also, it shouldn't be easy for you to just be peeping on the compound here, unless some mitigation factors are taken into consideration. Also, the class of the area. You have people do not build super high structures. They live in some 2, maximum 3 structure with large compounds that allow for their swimming pools and gardens and so on and so forth. So if you are going to be a one-off project that deforms the original form of the area, it may be a concern. There are other obvious considerations we know, like flight path. So if you look at the cantonment area, going, so if you look at the approach area from the ANC, also.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah, so now that's it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, Madam, I want to ask this because of the restrictions our brother was talking about. Okay, so I want to ask, is the spatial planning
behind us or in front of us? Okay, so do you wait for us to take the lead? As in, it looks like we are leading you guys. For instance, if something is happening at a particular area where you have people trying to sell within that area they are not supposed to do, it's like you wait for the people to become, they start by coming one by one, 5, 10, but you wait to get about 1,000 people there. Then you come in to restrict them or tell them to leave there. They can't sell there or they can't build there. Why is it that you always wait? It's like you're not proactive. You always wait for the mess to cause. So when the mess comes in, there's like you now come in to come and solve the problem. I don't know why that is done. Currently, the onion sellers who were moved from Accra here to Fante, somewhere on the Fante line. Okay, when they took them there, they've given them a boundary they should sell from. I passed there. What I see is the first day they went there was a boundary. Now, when you go, they've come over the boundary. They are getting close to the street. It means that in some years to come, they are going to start causing traffic on the street. But everybody's sitting there looking at them, and they are coming. They are coming. So they'll wait to cause traffic. Then they'll start bringing policemen to come and push people and all that. I see like you are behind us. You are not in front of us. But the name is planning. Just as you know, planning is you plan and then you do it. So I think you should change your name to be, I don't know, go back. The name is not planning. Thank you.
Thank you too. Please, anything? Yeah. Yes. So at the districts, as I said, the districts are planning authorities. So we have different departments, and there's a task force that's with the works department. That's, the works department have the building inspectorates. So they go around to ensure that that is done. Yes. So there are those there, they are there to go around, but unfortunately to resources, some of them don't have vehicles to be able to effectively inspect the developments going on within the municipality or districts. Yeah. Yes. So it's still, so that's how we talked about decentralization. So currently what is happening there is supposed to be handled at the district level. You get it? So at the district, the chief executive is supposed to, as a chairperson, is supposed to act together with the district spatial planning committee. They are the ones supposed to act on that activity because it falls within their planning area. You get it? Anyway. Please, any question?
Okay, so regarding the restrictions again, in an instance where there's a new settlement happening, do you restrict the number of people that should be in that community at a time? My reason is, you know how we have issues with, this area was supposed to use this amount of electricity and now the population has increased.
Yeah.
So the water, amenities, there's pressure on it and all this happens. Do you have an amount, do you have any number of
Yes. So first of all, planning is dynamic. It's not static. So when you make a plan, you definitely project the population that will be living there. And then based on that, you provide or make provisions for all the infrastructure that's supposed to be there. However, due to certain instances, sometimes certain activities that were not planned, or should I say that came up, because you cannot say that maybe what you plan is going to be like that. No, sometimes activities come in and then it's gingers the population, it increases the population. So with that, then you have to come out with more, when it happens like that, then you introduce more interventions to address that. So one thing is that anytime you do a plan, you cannot say that because you've done a plan, so it should be like that. No, you can't do that. You get it? You cannot say that, so because of that, you're not restrict. But there are some cases where, for instance, maybe in a gated community, for instance, those ones are different. In a gated community, that one, you are preparing a plan for a gated community, so you do all those kind of things. That one is different. But where, for instance, you are preparing a plan for a community, a whole community, and let's just say with the petroleum hub that we talked about, we've made projections, you get it, for that area, looking at all sectors. However, anything can happen. Maybe an introduction, maybe based on this petroleum hub, maybe another investor may see a potential around that area and may introduce another kind of investment there, and that could change the entire scope of that area. That's how come in planning, normally what we do is that we do revision. So for us in the law, we normally do every 5 years, you have to revise it. But also that comes with a cost. So it's oftentimes not done regularly. But the best thing is always to revise your plan, so that at any point in time, maybe if an activity has happened or an investment has been introduced within the planned area, you have to readjust and to suit the new development. Yes.
Thank you. Maybe this is a follow-up to the questions that my colleagues have been asking on restrictions. So does the planning authority have any kind of solution or plan concerning slums, people building in waterways, urban sprawls? I mean, the problems that we see all around us in the city. Are there any measures in place currently, or
Yes.
including our sewer systems, like gutters, anything at all? I don't know.
Yes. So that's one of the issues we have, actually. So you even mentioned sewer system, and it falls under the Ministry of Works and Housing. So that's we have a whole agency actually in charge of that. So unfortunately, we are fragmented. Our responsibilities are fragmented. So we all of us, we have standards. That's the thing. We all have standards, and everybody picks from us. Sometimes, so when we are doing like how we are revising, we go to their institutions to get the updates, what they are doing. But you know the system. In a government institution, where people are sometimes unwilling to share. You get it. So it's unfortunately it's there, but it's something that we have to do in terms of the fact that the standards, we all have to adhere to one standard that everybody picks from, and then we do. But unfortunately, it's not happening that way. But we hope that as we are revising this time around, it will work.
Okay, so,
but it's not easy as you see it from the other end.
Okay, so it's that the problem is bureaucratic. Is that it?
Yes,
that
it
you
is.
have to.
It's one of the reasons.
But are there any plans in place? Like AMA has a plan in place, or maybe Choco, or I don't know.
Yes. When you go to AMA, actually, it's let me communicate this. It's you have access to it. The public has access to plans. So you can walk into the fiscal planning department of any district and request for the plan of that specific area.
So say
you may not pick it. They'll not allow you to take it away, but you can have access to have a look at what is there.
So would you have any idea as to maybe say a plan that the planning authority wants to put in place for a place like Nima or one of these slums that we see around? Do you have any idea of what?
So for Nima, it's not really a plan as in, but it was because it was existing. They tried to georeference it and digitize all the settlements. But it's not really a plan that maybe they planned that settlement and then the people moved in. You get it? But for purposes of access, we looked at the access and security and all those things. That place has been georeferenced and digitized so that they can have access, they can do whatever that they want to do in terms of provision of amenities and all those things. Yeah. Yeah.
It had, I think it was more than 7 page. Like it had details of almost everything. But then some of the works that you do, I think some of them too may fall under maybe the EPA more. So do you, for lack of words, let me use that. Do you come again? Yes, or maybe say that. So we've seen your we've gotten your complaint, but I think this one is more of a EPA matter, so EPA should handle it, because from the little we've heard from EPA, it looks like their task force is a bit aggressive, and I don't know if you get like they have the,
as I mentioned,
yeah.
It's a planning authority. So when it comes to enforcement of planning laws and enforcement of spatial planning activities at the district level, it's the planning authority that handles it and not the fiscal planning department or one assembly, or one department, works department or anything. It's the planning authority, which is headed by the chief executive. So the decision is taken at the committee level and then they act on that decision. You get it? And you have to also know that all these committees I've mentioned, we work with other agencies. So that's how these agencies cannot work. So any information, especially when it comes to permitting, all these agencies are there to make their input for that permit. So in case, for instance, a permit is lacking, probably maybe a fire permit or an EPA permit, the EPA person takes data. So the decision is taken at as these people have before decision is taken, a permit is granted. Yes.
I just want to establish that if we are looking for to hold accountable, in the case and now most of these tax forces are supposed to be headed, or the work is supposed to be done at the district level, and the person heading the districts and committees are politicians. So the people we should hold responsible are the politicians, because they have done their work, but they can't implement.
Committee is because of the power they carry and the influence they have. That's how come they were made to chair those committees. So for instance, when a work is done, there's a complaint. When there's a complaint and it's brought to the committee, the committee addresses that complaint. You get it? So it's not one person, it's the whole of that committee. So it's that it's not just, but because the police mouthpiece, he speaks on behalf of the whole, yes. So you will not, in Ghana here, you will not see a professional being sued. But outside in developed countries, a planner can be sued because it's a planner that is held responsible. There's nothing like what we
Right. Have an architect, architectural control.
So for example, so all these we have departments that are part of the committee. For instance, the work department is headed by an architect. That committee. So we have
Trees don't have architects. So how do you get their input?
so I think that it's not like they don't have. It's unfortunate that the architects are not willing to work in the districts. Yes, that is the reason. So if you are willing the local government service, they'll post you big time. Yes. You can be there, you'll be getting jobs. So I should even market. You seriously, you'll be in your small corner. Let me market small. You'll be in your small corner doing your drawings, but there you can still, as you work, you can still do your private work as well. And you even meet more people, you meet more clients, and you get more jobs to do. So that's a plus, but people don't know.
Does it mean that all the development officers in charge of issuing pay are they all under?
So they are called the works department, and they work in the assembly.
Yes, so technically all of them are in your organogram. Are they under you? Do they
No.
answer to you?
No, so the works under the organogram of the assembly, the district assembly, we have the works department, we have the physical planning department, we have the disaster management prevention department, we have the urban roads, we have agric. So there are quite a number of agencies at the district level, and we have just a few people. Then those out of the assembly, like the Lands Commission, EPA, coming from outside to join the committee. Yes, madam.
To help my understanding, since we have the politicians as the head, does the land special planning, do you have a plan that is there that every politician that comes in, whether NDC, MPP, whoever comes in, follows that plan? Or when they come in, they decide that, okay, maybe for Nima, I want to plan it differently. So can you change your plan to accommodate what I want to do? Then, yes, another party comes in and says that, okay, Nima, the way the other people planned it, I don't like it that way, I want to change it. Does it happen that way? Or you have a plan that everybody comes in and is following that plan that you've...
Planning authority. Currently, we have a long-term plan, which currently is still running up to 2035. And the NDPC, we look at the spatial aspect. So if you've heard, the NDPC also, National Development Planning Commission, also unfortunately came out with a long-term plan, but they were unable to get it finalized. And when the government came in, they couldn't continue the finalization of that long-term plan. However, to finalize that long-term plan, and the plan is that when this is finalized, the long-term plan is finalized. I think it's a 50-year plan. When it's finalized, any political party will pick their manifesto from that long-term plan, and it's so as a stake, it's being final. They are involving all the political parties to bring in their ideas to so that that plan could be finalized, and then it becomes the plan for Ghana and not one political party. Yes. Pardon?
Say was putting together
The National Development Plan Commission, NDPC.
and they
We work
made up
with them
of-
actually. So they look at the side. So whatever policies they come up with, we try to translate it.
Okay, so I just want to know for them, what is the main what are they focusing on? Like,
You see what? I'll give you their act so that we don't digress. It's Act 486. It's 486 and 484. So when you look at, you go and look, you Google it, you see it, and then you focus, because we have quite a number of things to talk about. So when you go to, you can see all but their focus is to look at the policy direction of Ghana in terms of planning. And they regulate all assemblies. You've heard of 10 plan. We come out with medium-term plans currently. The national law, they prepare national medium-term plan, and then the districts pick up from that national development, the medium, and also that to prepare their when the plan is finished, districts subsequent to this as well.
I want to find out these plans from the development planning, I mean, the public.
Oh, yeah. You mean, for that one, so it will be available to the public. But if you want the medium-term plan, when you go to the website, or even when you go, they consider permits and all, and then they perform other functions as stated. Yeah. So, now we are back to the interesting ones. So we have the in Ghana, when we say a planning area, we are looking at the land. We are looking at the airspace. We are looking at the subterranean, looking at the marine space. Currently, we are doing some marine spatial planning. We also compete for Western region. Yes, we have a marine spatial, and we focus on water region because coastal level this year. What do you think? Anyone who knows? It says what is subterranean. Yes.
What?
Please tell them. I want it to be an
I think subterranean means planning below the earth, like so planning, mining, all those activities that go underneath the earth.
seen the infrastructure plan for Ghana. Yeah, it looks at underground tunnels. I know no, but you're architects. No, seriously. Yes. So it's actually, there are some proposals to go using the sky train, and there are some proposals to also use the underground. Yeah, but unfortunately, lack of money. So, but these are some of the things. That we should be really. You're architect, and it's important that you should just don't focus on just what is happening on the land. There are some of the things that we can tap into, then design. Yeah. All right. Please, any? Yes, sir. Yes, I know, and these are, it's you made mention of the fact that we need to be proactive. Yes, so that's what we are doing. We are proactive, but unfortunately, development beats us. Yes.
So sorry, I'm so sorry. Those plans that you've listed, so the subterranean and all those things. Is it something that has already been done and is there for us to come and pick up, or
Oh
is
no,
it something that you're waiting for developers to come and?
no. So it's subterranean. There are lots of proposals. So the proposal that I just mentioned, that's the Ghana Infrastructure Plan. It's another plan that was prepared by NDPC. It was looking at the infrastructure network of Ghana, transport, I think energy-wise, and water, telecommunication, and all. So it's a whole plan on its own, and they looked at possible ideas of actually going underground. So when these are proposals, so that in case maybe an investor comes in or a government come in and say that, oh, for my manifesto, I want to do this, it's already there. They can just pick it up and then use it.
So all those places have been mapped already.
Not all. So that's how come I said they are proposals and they are ideas. So they can give you a framework of, not detailed, a framework of it. And then when the actual, maybe it's the investor decides that, okay, I want to go into it, then the feasibility study will be done and all those to see which areas will be suitable and all that. But it's just an idea for us to start thinking about it. Yes.
Yesterday, during our lecture of the EPA resource person, she mentioned that their permit comes with a schedule.
Yes.
Yes. I want to know, does your permit come with a schedule too also? Because, for instance, you may have a local plan that you've done the demarcation and everything for every plot and everything, but does it take into consideration like pedestrianization?
Take into consideration.
Like pedestrianization
Mhm.
within the local plan?
Yes.
Yes. So if it does, and somebody has like a plot of land, maybe close to the road, like I know there are standards that talks about like how much space you should leave between the road and the buildings and all of those things, but it's in front of somebody's house. And sometimes, for instance, even drainage becomes a problem for one house to get their drain through somebody's. It becomes like issues. I know that you have standards for that, but if there was like a schedule attached to the permit that was given to that person, I mean, before the land is, the permit is given to that person, he knows that these are the things that he has to actually do before he can actually own or get like a full permit. I don't know if you understand.
No, I do get what you're saying, but I think anyone who, I don't know who, I know who has obtained a permit before. Oh, building permit, yes. And when you obtain the building permit, on the jacket, what did they write there? Don't they write as in where you're supposed to build and all those kind of things?
Yes.
So
that's why I'm just trying to say that I know that there are standards and all of those things.
yes.
But what I'm talking about is first of all pedestrianization. But in terms of like they granting the permit,
Uh-huh.
I mean the person hasn't built the thing yet.
Okay.
for you to say that this is what they have done and all
Yeah.
of those things. But these are the cases that sometimes when you go to like the site, the things that they say they have done, they've not done them.
So the enforcement, yeah.
Uh-huh. So in the case of that, what are some of the things that have been put in place to curb those things?
Okay.
Is
so,
there any like
yes.
smart regulations
Yes. So
or anything?
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen, but there is this after the permit, after you obtain your permit and then you develop. When you are done, you are supposed to go back to the assembly and get this habitation permit. You get it. So that habitation permit, when you go back to, that's when they come to the site to see whether all the things that they gave you the approval for the permit for, you've been able to go by. Then they can give you that habitation permit to say that yes, now you can use the development or the development that you have now, you can use it. But unfortunately, all the assemblies, they are faced with resources, to be honest with you. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. So they are not able to follow up on that aspect of it. So when you get your permit, then that's where it ends. Pardon?
For the habitation permits, is this where you submit the health and safety files?
The health and safety, that's for the EPA. But I'm looking at sorry. If it's a commercial development or a restaurant, that's when those things come in. But I don't think when it's maybe probably a resident, your own development, you need health and safety. Because but it's the habitation, actually, the habitation permit actually goes, looks at all those other things. It looks like whether that development is habitable. And being habitable, it means that you have to ensure that it's secure. But the health and safety permit is something different on its own. It's issued by the environmental health of the assembly. And that's when maybe probably it's a restaurant or maybe something that entails them. I don't know much about environmental health, so yeah. But they do issue a health and safety permit. Okay. I think with this one, I will just jump because I've already talked about it. I talked about the NSDF, that's the National Special Development Framework, as you can see at the top. And then out of it, we have the Regional Special Development Framework. And we do have the District Special Development Framework. And then we have the structure plan, and we have the local plan. So the special development framework is prepared at the national level, it's prepared at the district level, it's prepared at the regional level. And these are long-term plans. And then out of which you prepare the structure plan. So for the Greater Accra like this, we have the Greater Accra SDF, and then we have the Gamma structure plan for the whole region. But in this case, because we realize that the functionality of Gamma goes beyond the Greater Accra region, we had to include 3 districts from the central region. That's Ewutu Senya District, Ewutu Senya East Municipal, and then Gomoa East District. And then we looked at Nsawam, Dwejuri, and then Ekwapem South, which is a Bri area, to look at the functionality of a Greater Accra metropolitan area. And then the local plan looks at the detailing, which is very common. That's what a lot of people see when they go to the districts. Yeah. So, as I indicated, a structure plan for each district or part of a district or multiple districts, but the structure plan shall be prepared unless that structure plan conforms to the criteria prescribed. And what was the criteria I talked about? Being a fast developing area, rapidly developing area, maybe for redevelopment, for an investment, a huge investment that is coming into that area. And then a local plan for each part of the district where fiscal development is taking place or proposed to take place. And the local plan shall conform to the guidelines issued by the authority. So we have some guidelines when you are preparing the local plan. And also, as an architect, you can prepare a local plan. So the guidelines are there. You can go ahead and look at it. You can go ahead and look at it. And then when you are done, you take it to the assembly for them to vet it. So we have the street addressing system. It's something that has been there for long. And even I remember somewhere in 2013, that was when the then president actually issued a directive that we should have street addressing within the whole country. And then afterwards, it became something. So when we're doing the act, we ensured that we included it in the 2016 act. And it's something that is important, that every property should be addressed and computerized. And then when it comes to, I think I mentioned that a person shall not undertake any fiscal development or land within a district unless that person has been issued with a district permit within the jurisdiction in which that land is situated. So any development that's in section 113, you should be able to obtain a permit. And then this our LI, it's our Bible. I always carry it with me. And that's, pardon? Okay, so the LI gives the details as to the requirements for the application and issuance of planning permits. So we have the Act 925 and then the regulations. The regulation is the LI 2384. So this topic is going to be interesting. We'll be looking at revocation of development permits or imposition of additional conditions. Here it says that where a developer does not comply with a development permit or where the development does not comply with conditions of the permit, sometimes we do give conditions for that permit, a planning authority may revoke the development permit or may impose additional conditions to that permit. So you'd have submitted your development application, you've been given a permit, and my colleague was telling me that sometimes they don't go according to what has been prescribed. And unfortunately, because we don't normally do inspections, we are supposed to be coming, but as I said, you don't have, there's no vehicle to even convey the people to the sites to look at it. So if someone reports, oftentimes it's someone will report that maybe you built in a road, or you maybe there's something, and or one of the officials sees it, and then the planning authority is informed about it. We issue a notice. We'll let you know that we've seen what you've done, and then therefore sometimes you will have to revoke your permit. And when your permit is revoked, it leads to other things. You'll be asked to demolish that development. Yes. So by the act, it says that when you submit your application, it takes like 30 days. It's 30 days for you to get your permit. But however, this 30 days, you have to ensure that you have everything in place. Because somebody sometimes may bring, and the 30 days is not counted when your things are not up. So you may submit your application and you may not have title to that development. So you submitted it, but it's not counted. You may submit your application, but maybe it's a commercial development. So you are entitled to obtain an environmental permit. And a fire permit. And because you don't have those things in place, it's not counted as 30 days. You get it? So because you are issued permits based on all those things being available. But if it may go, sometimes it may go to the meeting, but they will not give you the permit until you bring all those things. Then they will add it and then they will give you the permit. But when you have everything in place and it goes to the meeting 30 days, however, sometimes at the assembly they also have their issues, so they are not able to meet and yet and vet on the applications.
For what we do, we know that I think the minimum for EPA is about 25 days, right? So 25 days plus this 30 days alone is 50. For architects or for consultants, I think sometimes it's a bit too long. So are there any things that you guys are doing to try and then, because I'm sure if I'm supposed to go for EPA permit, then my counting stops at your side too, or it's part of it stops, right? Like just like you said, and they would require me to get some things which will also stop their time. So I may take like almost 6 months.
So what we do is that we know all these things. So when you submit your application, you submit it to us. And yes, it's 30 days, but it's also subject to the meeting. You know, assemblies are supposed to vet and approve the development. So all these are factored. Sometimes we may not receive the permit from the EPA. But remember, there's a representative from EPA. You get it? So if he is aware of that development that you are processing, it may go through the meeting. However, until you bring that EPA permit, before they will issue you the permit. Aside that, we have some kind of, if there are special developments, or maybe as a consultant, you are in a hurry, you can pay for a meeting. You get it? So because you are bringing in people, so as a consultant, yes. So you are bringing in people to, yes, and that's why I said special development, because oftentimes there are some development that are complex, and those developments, sometimes the assemblies also bring in professionals. That's how come I made mention that a person can be co-opted, or a person can be invited to advise the assembly. So in such complex development application, probably it's only your development that is going to be discussed, not the others. So it's important that you have to pay for that meeting. Yeah. Or else you follow the normal process, yes. But when you have to discuss it with the secretariat. If they are in for it, fine. If they are not, it's per every planning authority. Yes.
Please, I wanted to find out how many times do the assembly meet in a month to deliberate on permitting issue or?
Yes, so it's with 30 days. So at least it should meet once in a month. However, some assemblies, they sometimes meet twice. Some assemblies, because of the developments coming in, I know of Kolekulote, they sometimes meet twice. And the twice could be that one could be just approval of permits. Others could, the second meeting could be issues that are happening within the assembly. Others too, just because of that development. There's a high rise, about 20-story high rise coming in Dade Kotopon. There could be some 20-story high rise, some developments coming in, and they want special attention. You know, they cannot wait because they have to. It's a project timeline, so they have to make sure that some activities are also done. Maybe we have a geologist doing certain aspects and all that, so they cannot wait. So they have to call for a meeting. And you have to pay for it if you're asking somebody to come and have that meeting with you. So you have to just discuss it with the secretariat. And then if they are willing, they will do it for you.
Hello. Yes. Okay, so please, aside complex facilities or complex structures, let's say permits are being issued for residential buildings. Are the architects co-opted to sit in?
Well, as I said, it depends. So if the secretary, the special planning committee, depending on the kind of development, and they need special advice, they may go in for an architect, an engineer, a structural engineer, depending. So it depends on what the planning authority, the special planning committee is looking for. However, within the special planning, the district special planning committee, there's somebody from the works department, and he vets the drawings. He or she vets the drawings. So as I said, at the assemblies, we have either someone from the building technology field or an architect. And that's what I'm saying. I'm advocating that we need more architects at the works department. Yeah, so maybe if you could look at that option too, that would be great.
Okay, so that actually takes me to my next point. Looking at someone from the building technology background vetting the drawing of an architect, he or she might not know certain things that were being considered before the design was maybe made or something, and the permits will not be given to the individual. I think an architect would have to sit in for all.
So that's
Maybe-
how
be a member, not
the situation is to have an architect, but unfortunately, we don't have that. At the local, that's what I'm advocating, that we need to work at it. Because there's no architect you get it. So if, for instance, an architect does a work and it's complex, that's why I'm saying that you advise. You get it. All those members are not there based on their individual, they are representing a department. So the membership is based on a department and not an individual. So if you're an architect and you think that looking at how things are going, you want to work in that district so that you help the country, yeah, you go, you apply. When you apply, you get a job, seriously. Because, but unfortunately, we don't have a lot of architects in the system. We don't. So those who apply and they are close enough at the so that's how come they find themselves working in the in the works department, and they are supposed to vet those drawings. That's how it is. Okay. So prohibition of development permit, development without a permit. A person who carries out any physical development without a permit commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction of a fine of not less than 500 penalty units and not more than 1,000 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 2 years and not more than 4 years, or to both. Those penalty units, please, me that one I can't explain. I'm not a lawyer. Yeah, but it shows that if, for instance, someone takes you to court, unfortunately, we've come out with something called the penalty. So when it happens, you just go and pay penalty at the assembly, and then that's it. But when an assembly decides that you built without a permit, and they want to take you, they have a lawyer. those assemblies that have lawyers, and then the lawyers decide, okay, let's go and take these people to court. They do make money. They do make money out of it. So it's an advice, yes. Yes, some assemblies.
What we are talking about is we all agree that most of the assemblies that encouraging architects to be part of assemblies and all of those things. And what I'm just saying is, for instance, you have meetings and all of those things that you need. Why do
As a need be, we'll invite the architect. But however, you know, the local government system, it's a structure. One thing that you're failing to identify is that the local government system it's established based on law. You get it? And all these departments and agencies within the local government and you don't want to come in, but you want to do that. In some countries, we have a lot of professionals working in the government sector. So we could have, for instance, more planners working in the district, and then we nominate one person to head them. In the same way, we have architects working maybe in the works department, then we ask one person to head them. That's when they have a lot of people. You get it? But in this case, we don't have people working, we don't have architects working in the districts. And we don't, so they pick somebody who is picked as the head of works. It's not just somebody who was just employed. No, that person has built his experience over the years. You get it? And that person is vetting your application. However, we know that sometimes you may lack certain things. So it's important that you co-opt the person and that person advise. And then the co-option, you are compensated for that. But they cannot be paying somebody at the works department who is doing your role, and then you will be another consultant somewhere. No, the government does not work that way. We work for public interest and not for private interest. Okay. So please, we'll look at, let's ease it a bit. Yeah, we need more people. We need more professionals in there. No, seriously, just to digress a bit, we need more professionals in the government sector so that we can support and help improve the system, and also to help the politicians. Because if you don't advise them properly, they also take decisions that does not help the country. You get it? So it's important that as we also consider that aspect as well for public interest. Okay. Unauthorized development. So a district assembly shall comply with the procedure stated in section 119, where a fiscal development has been or is being carried out without a permit contrary to this act, or the conditions of a permit are not complied with. And then, despite section 1, a district assembly may issue an enforcement notice demanding the immediate stoppage of the execution of the development or of works carried out contrary to the act or to the terms of an approved development plan. So here it's saying that when a plan is, either a plan is approved, or we see someone is carrying a development without a permit, we issue out enforcement notice. So that's how come you see that we have stop works and all those things indicated. And sometimes they issue out the notice itself. So we ask you to stop work and then make sure you come and regularize your development. And then if you are already, if you've already acquired the permit and you don't have, you've not complied with what the permit states, we ask you to also to stop the work that you are doing. And then an unauthorized officer may, an authorized officer may, without notice, effect or carry out instant prohibition, abatement, alteration, removal, or demolition of an unauthorized development if that breach is creating an environmental nuisance as defined in an enactment related to the environment or interferes with the use of public right to space. So the committee to meet to take an action can go ahead and then for stop, ask you to stop work. They can see. Yes. Some people don't follow because they know that they are already corporate, and when they go, they'll be asked to pay some fines. So what's important is for you to know that they should have some evidence to show that they are from this specific assembly.
And the permit hasn't come, and you want to do your work. What the procedure?
Yes. In this case, and when they give you some kind of something in writing to show that they've indicated that you can go ahead and develop, so that in case anything happens, you have that as your proof. So application for change of use or request for rezoning. Where a person seeks to change the zoning of a whole or part of a piece of land, that person shall apply in writing to the District Spatial Planning Committee of the district, to which the change relates in the form prescribed in the zoning regulation and planning standards. So when you're requesting for a change of use or a rezoning, sometimes you have to issue a justification for requesting for that change of use. And that justification is submitted to the District Spatial Planning Committee, and then it's vetted. And then when it's vetted and it's approved, then you can go ahead. A planning permit is given for you to go ahead with the rezoning. Yeah, and oftentimes when it's approved, it's actually effected at the assembly. The fiscal planning department effects the correction at the assembly. However, the justification report is often done by a consultant. So, yeah. A District Spatial Planning Committee shall not grant a request for change of use of the existing zoning or land use unless the request is intended to make the zoning of the land comply with the structure plan or local plan. So this is a basis. So the justification report should ensure that it complies with the approved plan of the area. So, for instance, let me give a sensitive example. So, there was a request to then AMA that they wanted to rezone the entire Achimota forest. Yes, so that's very sensitive. And actually, with such an area, it goes beyond the planning authority of AMA because it's a national asset. So it's supposed to be approved. So with that one, the assembly actually, first of all, they brought it to our attention, Land Use and Special Planning Authority, because this is a national land use. They brought it to our attention because at the time, the Forest Commission had given their go ahead. Yes. The Forest Commission had given their go ahead about it. And so we are into the use of the land. So not the whole forest, actually, it was just some 200-acre land. So so what we did as LUSPA is that we decided that this should go to Parliament, because it's even when because it's also going to be about two organizations, Forestry Commission and LUSPA, and because we know that we are the ones in charge of when it comes to the use of the land, and there's an aspect of the act which talks about national open spaces. And that's one thing about the act that helps us, where those spaces which goes beyond the planning authority and has significance over maybe a district, it goes maybe to the national level. Yes, those areas we just forward it to Parliament for them to decide. Unfortunately, up to now, no decision. Then now they realize with the uproar, it actually somehow went to the media, and media heard about it. So, the Parliament is always afraid when the general public kicks against certain things. So they couldn't also approve it. So that's the sensitive issue.
Okay, so for rezoning,
Yeah.
you said if maybe you want to request for a particular portion of land to be rezoned because of what you want to use, who has the authority? Do I, as an individual or as an investor, just write, or it has to come from the development office?
Yes. So, as you said, maybe you're an investor, and then you've identified, for instance, a parcel of land, or it could be an area that you want to have a development. So, as someone was asking that when you are buying a portion of land, what are some of the things? So, when you go to the assembly and you find that maybe it's contrary to that specific use, you request, you come up with a request letter, and then you come up with a justification report. So you engage a planner to come out with a justification report.
Me personally, the investor personally.
So the justification report will come out with whether it's suitable, whether it conforms with the other adjoining land uses. So an assessment will be done by the consultant to see whether that the investment that you are bringing in, how does it impact that environment, whether positively or negatively, and whether it conforms with the other adjoining land uses around. It may be contrary to what is proposed, but then again, when you are able to come up with a good justification and it goes to the special planning committee and you present your case, so the consultant will go and present your case on your behalf at the committee level. So he'll go there, submit all his proposals, and then when the committee thinks that, well, this proposal is suitable, they will approve it. And then the amendment will be made on their local plan or structure plan. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Ni Waterikote. So what happens if maybe you want to have a temporal development, meaning like if it's a residential area and you as a developer, you have the land and you want to change it into maybe like a event center.
Event
For-
center is not a commercial, temporary development.
No, well, let's assume it is. Like maybe you just want to do it for like 2 or 3 months and later, 2 or 3 years, and then later you develop it into like an actual residential space. Like what happens with
Okay.
that?
So when it comes to that, you first have to go to assembly. But with this case, you may not necessarily, because it's a temporary development, the structures was also determined. Because when you are using concrete will not, you not do concrete and do concrete for 2 or 3 years and demolish it. But however, when you are doing, you are using temporary structures for that purpose, though you'll be given a temporary permit. You get it? So in this case, when you go to the fiscal planning department, let them know that you want to do this restaurant, but you'll be using these temporary structures for such a development. So in this case, you will not need to do any justification reports and all those things because it's for permanent uses. But for temporary use, then they will give you a temporary permit. And the temporary permit is a planning permit. You get it? So you just submit your drawings for that as well. Temporary permit, you have to submit drawings, but then you have to let them know the kind of structures. So when they come in, when they give you the permits, and then they come in later and that you are rather doing a permanent structures, they'll revoke your permit. And then you have to start the process all over again and then do the proper permanent change of use process.
Maybe you don't go to the planning authority and you already start, and then later on they come and catch you.
Yeah, so
Would
when they
you-
catch you, you'll be asked to regularize. So when they catch you, you pay a penalty first, and then you ask to regularize it. But it should be a temporary structure. And if it's a permanent, you follow the same process. Yes, sir.
So let's say a church in a residential area, so a place designated for residential development, and you put up a church there. So the land use in a way has been altered, has been used wrongly. So what happens to the church? And if the church has permit, what also happens to the one who gave the permit?
So first of all, it's not one individual who gives permits. As I said, it's a planning, the district spatial planning authority. Yes, a whole body that grants permits. It's vetted before it's vetted, and the recommendations are sent by the subcommittee, and the recommendations are sent to the main committee for approval. So it's like 2 levels. And before a church is built, we just talked about change of use. So for it to go, for a permit to be granted, then that means that it has gone through all the necessary requirements before the permit is being granted. However, if the church is built and there's no permit, you get it, the church will have to come to the assembly and regularize it. And if the committee sees that that church shouldn't be there, they'll ask the church to be demolished. Or sometimes, what they sometimes do is that they ask for some condition. So they'll ask you to control the noise by introducing air conditions and certain things so that the noise level is controlled. Yeah.
Okay, so here is the case that the church has permit.
You know what? I don't want us to digress a bit. These are certain things that are peculiar. You get it? So maybe if you have the details of that a particular area, just after this, let's talk so that we'll take it up from there. Okay. Okay. Because I don't think there'll be questions because I'm doing it. 10 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Daniel, are you okay with it? Yes. Are you okay? Yeah, because we are pressed with time. So I don't want us to delay on it. That's very peculiar. As I said, it's a lot of things happen at the district. I'll not say it's what's the word? Nothing. It's ideal. A lot of things happen, even in different organizations. There could be some peculiarities. So if in that case, you just see me, and then we'll take it up from there. Okay. All right. So where an application for rezoning relates to change of use, and then the address of the owners of land abutting the land to which the application relates are not known, the district planning officer shall require the applicant's consent to give notice in the manner prescribed by regulation to the owners of the land abutting the land to which the application relates. Then advertise the application in the manner prescribed by the regulation, and then post the notice in the immediate vicinity of the land concerned, subject to regulations made under this act. So these are some of the things that when you are requesting for change of use, you do. Aside the justification report, the assembly goes ahead to inform that. So they inform the general public. For instance, some use the newspaper today. So sometimes in the newspaper, you see that they are requesting for a change of use for certain development. Or sometimes so it's just erect. On the of that. Yeah, so application, a person who shall sub to the district special planning committee requesting for subdivision or consolidation. So it's the same process as a change of use. And then the application shall be accompanied with an approved local plan of the parcel or parcels of land involved, the zoning certificate of that land as evidence of compliance with the approved structure plan, and then a plan indicating access road or internal circulation through road system. So if you don't have these things, when you go to the assembly, they will provide you with all these. Because sometimes you buy from the land owner and you'll be given a cadastral site plan. So when you go to the assembly and you want to do the subdivision, you just go to them. As I said, you should have access to it. However, when you want to take some aspect of it, I'm sure you pay for it and then they'll give it to you. And then land use certificate. So the authority shall prescribe a form, which is the land use certificate. So all assemblies are supposed to have a land use certificate so that when they grant planning permits, they are issued a land use certificate. And then the district assembly shall maintain a register of approved fiscal development in the district, and the register shall indicate the land use for each physical development. The register shall be made available by the district assembly at the public data room. So this is what I was talking about. So at the data room, public data room, sometimes, or should I say, in often cases, they don't have public data rooms, because the offices are not even enough for some of the departments. However, if you go to the fiscal planning department and request for these things, you'll be given, but you'll not be asked to take it away. You just have a look at it, and then when you want a portion of it, they'll take it, you pay for it. A person shall not use, yes, so there's a certificate of habitation I was talking about. So a person shall not use a building for any purpose or a permit. A person shall not use a building for any purpose or permit a building to be used for a public purpose unless a certificate of habitation for that building has been issued by the district assembly pursuant to the national building regulations. Yes, so this is it. But unfortunately, this act has not really been, yeah. And then we have the public data room, as I said. It's set up for, so all the maps are supposed to be there. All the plans that we have are supposed to be available for the public. So when you go there, but unfortunately, due to lack of office space, they don't really have a specific office, but some do. Some assemblies do have it. Those who don't have, when you go to the fiscal planning department, they'll give it to you. And that's where all the records for permits also. But sometimes they have issues with archives, so it's also another issue. Yeah, so you know Ghana. So this for your information. When you go to these assemblies, the conduct of public officials and their representatives, what we are supposed to do. We, as a public officer who performs a planning function, you are supposed to be impartial and also ensure fairness, equity, and justice, and shall not use your personal relationship or private grievance as the basis of any decision. So these are some of the things that we are supposed, as public officials, we are supposed to do. And those of us, or those of you who also want to join us, please, our doors are open. And then take the public interest into account. We are supposed to take the public interest into account and act in accordance with the object and procedures of the act. And avoid conflict of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest in the performance of the function, and shall immediately disclose any conflict of interest and request to be recursed in a matter that involves a conflict of interest. This is very, very important. So, as a public if you are in a works department and then you've done some work for a private firm and they are bringing in their development application, you should be able to let the committee know that you were part of this process, this development, or the drawings and everything, you are part of it, so that another person will be asked to vet the application. The procedure for public consultation conducted by a district assembly for the purposes of this act shall be in accordance with this session. That's public consultation. So public consultation is very relevant when it comes to planning. You asked about we involving family heads and when we are preparing our plans and all that. Yes, it's very, very necessary. Otherwise, your plans will not be implemented. And it says that the district shall make available to the public for a period of not less than 4 weeks the decision of the assembly to adopt the plan. So any plan that is prepared, any special plan, be it local plan and structure plan, the assembly has to make it available to the public for a period of 4 weeks. Yes. And as a land use and special authority to land use and planning special authority, we may issue guidelines also in respect of public consultations. So currently, that's what we are doing now. It's one of the things that our board would approve, and then we'll issue it out to the assembly. However, the assemblies already have something from the National Development Planning Commission, but this one is specifically for preparing spatial plans. And then when it comes to complaints of non-compliance, a person may lodge a complaint against an ongoing or existing fiscal development for non-compliance with the zoning scheme. So as I said, anything that you see that you think that there's non-compliance, maybe somebody is also developing in a road and all that, please inform the district assembly. They are supposed to be told. They can't go in everywhere. So if you see anything, please let us know. The district assembly may, where it receives a complaint or non-compliance, issue a notice to the person responsible for the fiscal development to suspend the development if the assembly is of the view that the development poses a threat to the environment, in breach of the act, or may cause irreparable harm. And then the complaint made under this, accompanied by a statement that the complainant has verified from the records at the public data room that the fiscal development complained of its deviant development, or that the complainant's attempt to verify was frustrated by officials. But or some, I think, I don't see what is down there. So in a sense, it's saying that when a complaint is accompanied by a statement, the complainant should make sure that you verify all that you are saying from the records, the public data room, to make sure that all that you are saying is correct, so that you don't go contrary to what maybe the assembly will go check their records, and then maybe you may think that they have a permit. You are complaining that these people, like my colleague is saying, I'm not saying you are wrong, but it's just an example, that you may think that this person has developed in a residential area, a church, and they have a permit, and you don't have the proof that they have a permit. You may go to the assembly, they check their records, and it happens that they don't have a permit. So let's always make sure that we have evidence to support our complaints. Thank you. Please, any more questions? Yes.
Thank you. So, in mentioning the challenges and implementations, as in planning regulations, you mentioned bureaucracies and cost restraints. So, I would like to find out, are there any other more challenges that the authority faces, and then so that together we can find a way of rectifying it? Because the attitude of which it looks like we are just looking at things go ahead, and then it's like our hands are tied behind us, so we can't do anything about it. So that's what I would like to first of all ask.
So as I said, I'll look at it because I've worked in the district, I'll look at it from the district level before I come to the authority. So at the district level, the planners are constrained. Those in the works department, they are constrained a lot. At the fiscal planning department too, there's a lot of challenges. As I mentioned, even logistics to just go around the municipality is one of the things. You don't have a vehicle to take you to where you're supposed to go and ensure that development control is effective. That's one of the major things. Sometimes resources, when you need to make sure that certain things are done at the right time, resources delegated to the assembly oftentimes is not done. So it's a lot of issues aside the bureaucracy, aside the politics as well. Politics in the sense that even the municipal chief executive may be a small fly. He may get a call from Jubilee House, and then he becomes scared. So because he's scared, he's not able to tell you that, no, I just got a call from Jubilee House, so whatever that we wanted to do, let's hold on with it. So that's also that's the politics around it. So it's a lot of things, a lot of factors, and the professional is also constrained with it. Yeah, and then at our level, we also, when we receive all these complaints, from the regions and the districts. Unfortunately, our act is not so biting. You know, we are an authority, but we are the. I'm done now. So at the authority level, our act is not so biting. You know, it went to Parliament, and Parliament made sure that we are not so powerful. Yes, they made sure we are not so powerful, so we cannot actually go to the districts on our own and ensure that the right thing is done. We have to pass it through the Ministry of Local Government, and you should know that that is also headed by the minister, who is in bed with the sitting government. So if, for instance, somebody at the district assembly is receiving a call from Jubilee House, what about the minister? You see, so that's how come in our case, when I was talking about the you have to use certain means, yes, to make sure your things are worked out. Anyway, I'm told that the next lecture is in. So, any last question?
I have a last question. Okay, so clarity on planning permits and development permits. So I would like to find out, in case you apply for a permit as a residential, is it the two permits are given to you, or is there a difference? Like, maybe if you can explain the difference.
Yeah. So we have planning permits and then we have development permits. The development permit is when, let me start with the planning permit. The planning permit is the change of use, the temporary permits, and then when you prepare a local plan and then you send it to the assembly, that's the planning permit. And then based on that planning permit, a development permit is given. So we normally hear of building permits. So currently the act says that the development permit is the building permit and the planning permit. You get it? So the development permit is when you receive your planning permit, then you bring the drawings. So maybe you requested for a change of use, and then the change of use, it has been approved. You have to submit the drawings for that. So based on that, when you submit the drawings on that, based on that, then the development permit is given. But however, sometimes some people may come and then they'll give you they submit an application for a planning permit, and then they'll tell you that they are not ready to develop. So we just give them a planning permit, and then that's it. So until they are ready to develop, then they come in and we give them the development permit.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been an interesting class. And Daniel, please, let's meet outside. Okay.